Now, experts have highlighted distrust of government and health institutions as among some of the reasons why there is such a high rate of vaccine hesitancy among South Africans. But one clinical psychologist has blamed what he called an infodemic that has caused major terror for most people. Joining us now to explain the prevailing attitudes towards the COVID-19 vaccine is clinical psychologist Prof Sathasivian Cooper. Prof Cooper, good to have you on this Friday afternoon on the Daytime Update. Now, when you talk of infodemic, what exactly are you making reference to? What does that mean?
I'm talking about the infodemic of information, exponentially available on all sorts of media outlets, particularly on Twitter and Facebook and other such platforms, where you have one-day experts and instant wonders who hold forth without evidence and without any peer review by persons with scientific and other standards.
You also highlight fear as one of the main reasons why people tend to be hesitant. What are some of the psychological interventions that can be put in place to try and circumvent this?
Well, I think one is to stop accepting news that clearly adds to your disquiet and anxiety, and that means focusing on other news channels that actually are verifiable and you can get good advice from. It's also important to recognize that all of us are in the same position. None of us is more privileged in terms of what we confront, because this is an airborne disease. And unless we take the right precautions, masking, distancing, and take the vaccination, we will get infected, as has happened to many around us. And there's nobody out there who has not lost close people they know.
You also say that part of the reason for hesitancy is that people are getting information from sources whom you say or whom they perceive to be discredited sources. In what way?
Look, I'm talking basically about a trust deficit in society, ours, and in many other societies where leadership has tended to fail the public. The trust in leadership and following a leader's advice at a social and political level is at an all-time low. In our country, the research shows that has reduced dramatically. So when you get the kind of questions and concerns we have in a society like ours, where persons in power are not accountable and in turn tend to give advice, that advice is going to be looked at very, very askance. So you cannot expect somebody who is in question himself to be giving that advice when most people are looking at that person with grave skepticism.
You also highlight that a lot of people are looking forward to going back to quote-unquote normal life. Is there a correlation between this desire for normalcy with the need for vaccination? Do the two merge at any point?
Oh, yes. I think unless we vaccine and unless we take the usual precautions, we will succumb to COVID. And the reliance on other examples elsewhere in the world where people have taken the vaccine and are resuming with their activities gradually is something that we need to look forward to. And the rebellion against authority right now is well placed in the political arena, but rebelling against that authority now with the pandemic is going to work to our disadvantage. So we need to actually understand that the science is very clear. We breathe this in, we take it in through aerosol droplets that are unseen often. And if we really are anti-vaccine in principle, then we should allow ourselves to be spat on or coughed on and sneezed at. But most of us will not do that. I think there's also personal fear, Sami, that we need to understand. The terror that comes with the unknown, where people are so terrified of this disease that they trust a disbelief into the public arena so that others can support them, and they hide behind that fear. The fear of injections as well, even though this is a very small little pinprick that is usually administered on your arm, and it's almost instantaneous and not painful. But the terror of those factors play a role as well.
So Professor, in 30 seconds, what are the mental and psychological interventions you believe need to take place in order to get rid of this fear and for there to be a greater affinity and disposition towards vaccination for the majority of those who are hesitant?
One, we must accept that this is a killer pandemic, that recognize that those around us who have been infected and have succumbed to it, that's a reality. It will happen to us if we don't take precautions. And then focus on the fact that experts are taking it. Many of us in the health and related sectors are taking it, and yet we still wear masks. We still take precautions because the world over, the weakness is those who don't comply. And that will be a danger in the new world of work that will impact on us much more going forward than any hesitancy and concerns we may have. This will become the new normal, and we may as well get used to that idea. The sooner we do so, the better it is for us, those around us, our loved ones, and for society.
Professor Sath Cooper, thank you so much for your time this afternoon.